Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. The translation for this verse is: Glory to Śrī Caitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Caitanya. So in about another In about another 3 weeks, we have Sri Gaura Purnima, the divine appearance day of Sri Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. And it is a good time for us to reflect and soak in the teachings, pastimes, and glories of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu. And that would allow us to welcome, prepare our consciousness to welcome Lord Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So starting today and the consecutive 3 weekends, and eventually on 27th and 28th. 28th is the day of festival of Lord Sri, appearance day of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So we'll be having regular discussions based upon either the teachings or the glories or the pastimes of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So thank you all for joining. And so how many of you are actively active? I mean to say, if a task is given, can you participate in a group? Can you raise your hand or just speak out?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can.
Okay. Okay. I was thinking of doing a group activities. Let me see as we progress based upon the people who are present. Okay. So today we'll be briefly discussing a few aspects of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu and who is Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu, his purpose, and maybe some of his teachings very briefly. So, in fact, as we know, Srila Prabhupada has written the English translations for Sri Chaitanya Caritamrta, which are divided in 3 sections: Adi Lila, Madhya Lila, and Antya Lila. And they contain vast details of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Who is he? What are his childhood pastimes? And what are his pastimes in terms of preaching, traveling all over South India? And then again, his pastimes in Jagannath Puri and his various teachings in this course of after becoming sannyas, his various course of activities, teachings, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot that is spoken about Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. There is so much literature available, and it is said that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj used to soak himself in reading Sri Caitanya Charitamrita. So he was he used to always like to hear and read from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita. So Sri Caitanya Charitamrita is the name that we have also given to this series of talks, is to emphasize the wonderful activities and the great the glories of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, and we try to reflect them. Although we will not be able to cover systematically or cover large sections, but we will try to take some portions of this from the book and discuss. So first, I just thought I will briefly read out first 2 paragraphs from chapter 1 of Adi Lila, where it is mentioned, Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu is none other than the combined form of Sri Radha and Krishna. He is the life of those devotees who strictly follow in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. So in the very beginning, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning that Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than the combined form of Sri Radha and Krishna. So to understand who is Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu is not very easy, because he is also known as Channa Avatar, who is hidden even in scriptures. Only great acharyas can identify that who is Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And here Srila Prabhupada in the very beginning is making it clear that who is Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and is the life of those devotees who strictly follow in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. So we are also known as Rupanugas, or the followers in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami. So, and anyone who is following in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami, Prabhupada is mentioning the life and soul of the devotees of Rupanugas is Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu. And Prabhupada further writes, Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami are the true principal followers of Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami, who acted as the most confidential servitor of Lord Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, known as Vishwambara in his early life. So Prabhupada is mentioning the details of the associates of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami was a confidential servitor of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then there are description about where other devotees who are thickly associated with Lord Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and then the disciplic succession of who are all coming down from the time of Lord Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, why is it so important to know about Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu? Why is it important to know about the associates of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu? So this is also very wonderfully explained in the first, second, and other chapters. In fact, in the first Adilila, the glories of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates are also discussed. And we'll try to understand why is it important to understand the glories of both Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. So first, just to understand who is Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, we will just take one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Good, use Krishna Varna. So there is this beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam which says, Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam, Sango Pangasta Parsadam, Yagnai Sankirtana Prayar, Yajantihi Sumedasaha. So this is one of those verses which is giving a hint for one to understand who is Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is being said here, Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam. So it says that Krishna Varnam, repeating the syllables Krishna. So Tusha Krishnam. So Tusha means with a luster of Akrishnam, which is not black. So basically this verse is talking about an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, or in fact the Supreme Lord himself, who is not of darkish complexion, but rather his complexion is quite different from that, quite opposite to that. And the complexion of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu is said to be Gaura, or golden. So, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also known as Sri Krishna Chaitanya because Sri Krishna Chaitanya, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to always chant the names of Krishna. He used to always soak in chanting and relishing the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna. And therefore, he is known as Krishna Varnam because he is repeating the syllables Krishna. And he also comes along with his associates and servitors, Sango Pangastra Parshadam, and along with his weapons, and along with his confidential companions. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance and his complexion is being mentioned here. And also about his associates is also being mentioned here. Sango, Panga, Astra, Parsadam. So, and then it is also mentioned here that Yagnai Sankirtana Prayar Yajantihi Sumedasaha. So, if one is very intelligent in this age of Kali Yuga, how will you worship this Supreme Personality of Godhead? The way to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this age is as recommended by Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, that is Yagnai Sankirtana Prayar. So sacrifice, as we see in the Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, that Lord brings this sacrifice along with the creation so that people can benefit, people can go back to the spiritual world. Although there are different kinds of sacrifices that one can perform according to the Vedic tradition, but the sacrifices to be performed in Kali Yuga are different, or in fact, those sacrifices which are mentioned in the Vedic scriptures are very difficult to follow in this Kali Yuga. And therefore, Yagnai Sankirtana Prayar, Yajantihi Sumedasaha. So someone who is very intelligent, they know how to worship the Supreme Personality of God in this Kali Yuga. Otherwise, people get bewildered in worshipping various rituals, in performing various rituals, in performing various karma kanda or jnana kanda kind of activities. But none of them lead to the ultimate benefit. But here, the Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu specifically appeared in the form of devotee to establish this religion for the age of Kali Yuga. And anyone who is intelligent in this age of Kali Yuga must recognize this form of the Lord who is in the golden complexion, who has come with his associates, and who is propagating this Sankirtana Yajna. And it is by this method, Srila Prabhupada mentions, that one can understand and serve Krishna, not otherwise. So Prabhupada says, if one wants the highest benefit, he cannot get without going through the mercy of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So this is the first point, that Lord Shri Krishna Chaitanya is none other than the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna himself. And this is even more elaborately explained by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the 2nd chapter of Śrī Caitanya Caritamrta. Although I'll not get into the complete details, but just Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami establishes that there are two things to be considered. Let's take one sentence. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, he gives a reference of this statement. So this Vipra is a greatly learned man. So this is a sentence which has the subject and the predicate. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that this Vipra is the subject, and the predicate is that is a greatly learned man. So this is qualifying the Vipra, and what is his nature that is being told as a greatly learned man. So here, the man, who is that man? The Vipra is known, but what is he is not known. But only if we know what he is, so therefore, first we need to identify the person, and then we need to identify what is his qualification. So if we just know the qualification, but if we do not know the person, it is not clear knowledge. So the subject should be the first, and then follows the predicate. So in order to establish this understanding of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami takes this example to explain that there are various incarnations, but one should also ask this question, from whom are these incarnations coming, or whose incarnations are this? And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that one understands from whom these incarnations are coming, or whose incarnations are this, then one can understand that the subject of this topic, That means Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is trying to establish that who is the primeval or the original personality of Godhead? What is his characteristics? And then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami goes on to state this verse, Ete cham sakala pumsa. And then establishes from the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, that Sri Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and all other incarnations are either his plenary portions or parts of his plenary portions. So in this way, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami establishes that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and simultaneously, he also establishes that one understands that Krishna is the original candle, and all other candles of Vishnu Tattvas, which are of similar category, are his expansions. And then there are other categories of expansions, and then there are the living entities. And if one understands that Krishna is the absolute supreme personality of Godhead, one also, if one carefully studies after that, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami quotes this verse, Yad Advaitam Brahmopanishadi Tad api asya tanubha Ya Atmantar Yami Purusha iti so Shyamsa Vibhavaha Shad Aishwarya Purnaya Iha Bhagavansa Swayam Ayam Na Chaitanyat Krishnaj Jagati Paratatvam Paraiha. So this is from Adi Lila 2.5. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is mentioning. Maybe I can share this. So this is a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrta Adi Lila 2.5. This is again emphasizing, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining what the Upanishads describe as an impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord known as Super Soul is but his localized plenary portion. He is the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than him, greater than or equal to him. So here the word Chaitanyat refers to Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So here actually, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that the supreme absolute truth can be considered can be realized in 3 different forms: the Brahman, the Paramatma, and the Bhagavan feature. So here, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that Shada Aishwarya Purna. That means the Bhagavan feature is full of opulences, full of 6 opulences. And he is none other than Krishna. And he is, and there is no other greater Paratattva. There is no other higher truth than the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. And the other features of the Supreme Absolute, which some people consider from the Upanishad, that it is impersonal Brahman. It is being said here that is nothing but the effulgence of the Lord. And what is considered as Paramatma or the Super Soul is nothing but the localized portion of the Supreme Lord. Now, why these are important to understand? This is because if one studies Upanishads, one may be very much confused to understand either the impersonal Brahman as a Supreme Absolute, or if someone studies Yoga Shastras, one can think that Paramatma is the Supreme Absolute. But here, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that there is the highest tattva, the highest truth is that of the Bhagavan, or the plenary portion, the personal form of the Supreme Lord. And through this, further, there is one important aspect that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says through this is that one should not interpret and come to and think that is that as an evidence. Rather, one should quote the scriptures and take them as the evidence. I'll just repeat this point. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that one should not interpret and take it as an evidence. Rather, one should take evidence from the scriptures. And stating this, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami goes on to give various examples from scriptures to establish this one point. This is in the very beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrta Adi Lila 2.5, and throughout the chapter, various examples from the scriptures are taken out to establish this fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna himself. So the reason why I'm just bringing out this is because people sometimes consider Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as just another devotee. Just like I was talking to a Sri Vaishnava, and he says Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a great saint. Or someone else also, some other scholars, they also tell Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a great scholar. But not everyone knows the tattva of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And therefore, in the very beginning of Sri Caitanya Charitamrta, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining from the scriptural understandings as how Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna himself, and he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this understanding of who is Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very important for devotees to recognize. Otherwise, one is prone to be confused when people come and tell, why do you accept Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Absolute Truth? He is just a devotee. Now, why does he come as devotee, and what is the purpose of him? Sorry, just looking at some chat. Okay. So what is his purpose and how to understand him? We will look at some of the examples to better understand this. So there are different Puranas which give further examples. I just quoted one verse, Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam, Sango Pangasara Parshadam. Similarly, there are various Puranas which also describe the appearance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, I'll just briefly talk about the purpose of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. Just one second. So there is this beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamrta Adi Lila 1.94, which talks about one of the reasons of the appearance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. This verse is, Krishna Bhaktira Bhadaka Yatha Shubha Shubha Karma Seha Eka Jivera Ajnana Tamo Dharma. All kinds of activities, both auspicious and inauspicious, that are detrimental to the discharge of transcendental knowledge, transcendental loving service to Lord Krishna, are actions of the darkness of ignorance. So, Srila Prabhupada in the purport explains what is the meaning of this verse. So here, there are two kinds of activities, both auspicious and inauspicious, which are detrimental to the discharge of transcendental loving service to Lord Krishna, are actions of the darkness of ignorance. So people perform various activities, but they do not really know what is the benefit or why that is to be done. And as we were also seeing today's Bhagavad Gita session, so Bhagavad Gita guides one to decide what kind of actions one should take, what kind of actions one should not take, and what kind of actions aspire to connect. So what actions help us to connect and re-establish our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So even further, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to say that there are activities which lead to the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord, and there are activities which do not lead to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So the activities which do not lead to the transcendental loving service of the Lord, they can be either auspicious or inauspicious. But both of them are considered to be the mode of darkness of ignorance. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the purpose of the appearance of Lord Caitanya and Nityananda Prabhu is to dispel the ignorance of the soul. So this is a very important principle. What is the activities of the soul? What is the nature or the real constitutional experience or the constitutional position of the living entity and the constitutional activities of the living entity? Those are the constitutional position and constitutional activities of the Lord are forgotten by the living entities, and therefore they engage in various superfluous activities, and therefore they do not come to the highest understanding of the real position of Krishna conscious, of becoming Krishna conscious. And therefore Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared so as to help the living entities who have forgotten one's real constitutional position and activities to bring back, to awaken that the consciousness, the pure love for Krishna, which is dormant in everyone's heart. So Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu have appeared specifically to bring that out, to bring that dormant consciousness back into being active. And therefore, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, recognizing this age of Kali Yuga, has come in the form of a devotee so that he can teach. And Srila Prabhupada explains this point, that just like sometimes a teacher teaches A, B, C, and he explains the child, so one should not think that the teacher is reading out A, B, C, that means he is learning ABC. Rather, one should know that teacher is just teaching ABC so that the child can learn, but not that teacher does not know them. So similarly, Prabhupada says that Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to teach who is Krishna, how to worship Krishna. That does not mean that Caitanya Mahaprabhu does not know, or he is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And rather, he is he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead just for the sake of teaching us as how to perform devotional service. He has appeared. So this is an important purpose of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. We should all remember is to invoke the Krishna consciousness which is present in our heart. Is the prime purpose, is to of appearance of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And Caitanya Mahaprabhu has also appeared and as we saw, the second aspect about how one can perform these activities of the pure spirit. So Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, as we saw, Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam. So Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu enunciated the simple process of performing Sankirtana Yajna. So by giving this causeless opportunity, mercy of causeless mercy, by which simply, although there are Kaler Dosha Nidhe Rajan Asti Eko Mahan Gunaha Kirtana Deva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Prajet. So although there are so many faults in Kali Yuga, there are so many impediments in Kali Yuga to attain to self-realization in order to understand what is one's position and what is the real philosophy of life, what is to be followed, what is not to be followed, especially when the system of Brahmanical tradition is lost, when there are various interpretations in the philosophies. It is very difficult for a common man to understand what is the highest goal of life and how to attain it. But Caitanya Mahaprabhu has simplified this, that even if one does not know anything, if one simply goes on chanting, and Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu has personally demonstrated in his life as how he was always constantly chanting the names of the Lord. And anyone who came in touch with him also started to chant the names of the Lord. So the another purpose of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu's advent is to inaugurate the Sankirtana movement, by which one can simply cross over the various difficulties of Kali Yuga. Otherwise, there is no way one can overcome the ill effects of Kali Yuga. Especially in Kali Yuga, as we also saw in the morning, mind is a very disturbing factor. So Prabhupada writes that the system of yoga is meant to control the mind and the senses. And even to the senses, the mind is even more important. And when one's mind and senses are not controlled, they lead one astray from the real goal of life. But how do one control this in Kali Yuga? So Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu's process of chanting and hearing is the sure and the most appropriate method by which, even if one is engaged in one's activities as circumstantial activities, it could be various different things. One has to do a job, one is in family life, and so on and so forth. But if one engages one's mind and senses in chanting and hearing, then Prabhupada writes that one's consciousness gets transformed. In fact, there is a beautiful statement Prabhupada says. So basically, Prabhupada says that although one should follow in the footsteps of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, as how Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu has stayed away from Maya by renouncing his family life. So although he was just 24 years old, his wife was about 16 years old, and his mother was about 70 years old. So in spite of that, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu renounced the life of illusion and took to the, so illusion, Prabhupada says in general, for common people, the life of family life is a big illusion. They're trapped in it. But Srila Prabhupada says that Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu personally demonstrated how one should renounce to approach the highest purpose. And then Srila Prabhupada also mentions that even if one is not able to overcome like Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu and give up the entire family life, one can still remain in his own situation, but one should try not to be attracted by Maya. And how can one do this of not being attracted to Maya is by following Prabhupada quotes this verse of Brahma instructing Sthane Sita Sutikatam Tanuvan Manobher. So Srila Prabhupada says that even though one is in the family life, one should not be attracted to Maya, and that is possible by following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of chanting and hearing. So this is another purpose, that a simplified process of purification, simplified process of perfection of life. So this is another reason why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears to help us, the conditioned soul in this age, to be free from the material contamination. And and there are other external and internal reasons why Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu appears. So we'll not dwell into all of them, but we'll just basically, let me see. Okay, so we have one, two, three, 14. Okay, I was thinking of dividing all of you in small groups and giving a small task for rest of the 20 minutes. And we'll come back and discuss for a few minutes. So can you all raise your hands if you're all actively present? 2, 3. Four, 5. Okay, so I assume almost everyone is actively present, and if someone is not, I think your group will have some difficulty. So this is a very simple task. I just thought if there were more people to do it for longer time. So I'll just quickly ask a question. How many of you actually know Shikshastakam by heart or by meaning?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
I know it by heart, but I don't know the complete meaning by heart yet.
Okay. So the task is very simple. I'll divide into a group of 3, and I will assign one verse, all of you to read and understand its meaning. The idea behind this is with about 3 weeks left, we can all spend some time to remember this wonderful teachings of the Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, and at the same time understand it with meaning. And if we can remember this, so as it is said, so it is said, Prabhura Shikshastika Shloka Ye Pade Shune Krishna Prema Bhakti Tara Bade Dine Dine. If anyone recites or hears these 8 verses of instruction by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, his ecstatic love and devotion for Krishna increase day by day. So, although these are simple 8 instructions, appearingly very simple, but it is said that simply reciting or hearing them increases our love for Krishna. So I'll just share this link in the chat, and I'm going to divide all of you into 4 groups total, and you will be learning one verse by meaning. So can you all just see the link? So in case if you have any questions, you can just put it in the chat. So basically, there will be 3 people in each group, and I'll be messaging in each group one message as which will be your shloka to learn. And I'll be there to help you also. I'll be moving around the groups to help you. Kiran Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Did you come out of the group?
Yeah, I did came. Maybe I joined the other group. I don't know. I just came out. Yeah.
Okay, let me put you back in the group.
Yeah, Prabhuji, you said to learn the first verses, right? First.
Yes. Okay, so Bhadrinath Prabhu and both of you can do the first verse. Prabhu, you can share the screen. So go through line by line and try to understand and learn the meaning and the verse.
Okay, Prabhuji. First verse, right?
Yes. Prabhu is sharing the screen.
Okay.
It's visible, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
I'll repeat and you can just follow, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. One second. Hello? Yeah.
Cheto darpanamarjanam
Cheto darpana mahajanam
bhavama marjanam kini
mahajanam
marjanam
marjanam. Yeah.
bhavamahadavagni
Bhava maha davagni
nirvapanam
nirvapanam.
Shreya
Shreya
Kairava
Kairava Chandrika
Vitaranam
Vitaranam
Vidyavadhu
Vidyavadhu Jivanam
Anandambudhi
Anandam Buddhi
Vardhanam
Vardhanam
Pratpadam
Pratipadam
Purnamrta Swadhanam
Purnamruta Swardharam
Aswadanam
Sarvadharam
Sarvatma
Sarvatma
Swapanam
Sarvatma Sapanam
Param
Vijayati
Shri Krishna Sankirtanam
Shri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Repeat, Mataji. Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagni nirvapanam
Cheto darpanam marjanam bhava maha davagni nirvapanam
Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam
Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vati Ranam Vidyavadhu Jivanam
Anandamudivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrata Swadanam
Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrata Swadhanam
Sarvatma Swapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam
Sarvatma Swapanam Param Snapanam Param
Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam.
So we'll read one by one words, then once again we'll memorize this verse. Here,
Okay.
Chetaha. Chetaha means of the heart.
Yeah.
So
Chetaha.
you can read this, Mataji.
Yeah. Chetaha of the heart.
Chetaha of the heart.
Darpana, the mirror.
Darpana, the mirror.
Mirror. Marjanam, cleansing. Bhava,
Marjana, cleansing.
cleansing. Bhava of material existence.
Bhava of material existence.
Mahadevagni, the blazing forest fire.
Mahadavagni. Davagni.
Mahadavagni,
The blazing forest fire.
blazing forest fire. Nirvapanam, extinguishing. Shreya,
Nirvapana, extinguishing. Yes.
yeah, Shreya of good fortune.
Shreya
Kairava,
of good fortune. Kairava.
the white lotus.
White
Chandrika, the moonshine. Vitaranam, spreading. Vidya, of all education. Vadhu, wife. Jivanam, the life. Ananda, of bliss. Ambudhi, the ocean. Vardhanam, increasing. Pratipadam, at every step. Purna Amrita, of the full nectar. Aswadhanam, giving a taste. Swara, for everyone. Atma,
Sarva.
yeah. Sarva, for everyone. Atma, Sanapanam, Panam, bathing of this.
Self.
Yeah, the bathing of self. Pranam, transcendental.
Param.
Ved-
Param.
Param, sorry, what did I say? Param, transcendental. Vijayati, let there be victory. Shri Krishna Sankirtanam, for the congregational chanting of holy name of Krishna.
Yes. Now we'll read the translation. So I'll read. Let there be
Yeah.
all victory for chanting of the holy name of the Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar at every step. This is this. So we have to memorize this verse, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, I will do that. So I have to do that now?
Yes, Mataji. So the
Oh,
easy
okay.
line by line, we can even first line we can memorize. We can chant 3 times, second 3 times, third 3 times, fourth 3 times. So it will come.
Yes. Okay, Prabhuji.
So you can do one thing. You can chant. I'll repeat. After
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, like even my son, he is like he's around me. So I have like little distraction here,
Oh,
but I will try.
yes, Mataji, you can try. No problem.
Yeah. So shall I start first? Or like
Yes,
Right.
Mataji.
yeah, Cheto Darpana. Like Prabhuji, shall I do it myself? Because he is like around me, my son.
Oh, no problem, Mataji. He'll also hear. That is the advantage.
Yeah. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Maha Devagni Nirva Panam.
Cheto
Shreya.
Darpana Marjanam. So you have to understand the meaning of this verse. Then it is very
Yeah. Easy. Yeah.
Cheto means the heart,
Heart.
our heart.
Yeah.
Darpana.
Yeah.
Darpana means the mirror. You can just see this down, Mataji. I've just shown the.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cheto means
Cheto
heart.
Heart. Yeah.
Darpana. Darpana means mirror. In Sanskrit, Darpana means mirror.
Yeah.
And marjana means you can know that cleansing.
Cleansing.
So you can just understand this mirror. Just you'll see daily your face in the mirror, no Mataji?
Yeah. Yeah.
So at that
Yeah.
time, this mirror is covered with dirt.
Yeah.
Now it has to be cleansed.
Yeah.
So this our heart is also like that only. So here it is Cheto Darpana Marjana. So our heart is also full of dirt. It has to be cleansed. So here you can see
Yeah.
Cheto Darpana Marjanam.
Yeah. Cheto Darpana Majanam Bhava Mahadevagni Nirvapanam
Davagni.
Davagni. Davagni Nirvapanam
So
Shreya. Yeah. Mahadavagni, the blazing forest
Nirvapana.
fire.
Yeah. So Bhava means this material existence.
Bhava. Hmm.
Maha Davagni. The blazing
Mahadavagni.
fire. Nirvapanam. Extinguishing. We have to destroy that.
Okay.
So you can once again you can say Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. It's easy to remember.
Yeah, Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadevagni Nirvapanam.
Davagni. It's if in Sanskrit, if there is a D dash, it is written at the above A. It's A. It's like a second A.
Oh, okay.
So it is
Davagni.
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 Yeah.
Nirvapanam. Like that.
Nirvapanam. I think I will take a lot of time to.
It's
to do
easy to. At least two line it comes. It is a great advantage.
Yeah. Prabhuji, you sing. I will sing like after you.
Yes, Mataji. So first verse, you I think so now you got memorized that, no, Mataji?
Yeah.
You can repeat after that. So
Yeah.
I'll just make it down. Now you can repeat, Mataji, that verse.
Cheto,
Without saying that.
with no, can you show me again? Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, can you?
Now we can. Cheto, this heart, Darpana, this like mirror, Marjanam, it's cleansing. You can just refresh, think like that. Okay, now I'm standing near mirror. It has to be clean. So Cheto is the heart.
Yeah.
Cheto Darpana Marjana.
Nirvag.
Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam.
Okay. Okay, so it's like Cheto Darpana Marjana Bhava Devagni. Davagni, sorry. Davagni Nirvapanam. Yeah.
Okay. Once again you can repeat.
Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava. Sorry.
Yes,
Devagni Nirvapanam.
Oh, good. Once again you can repeat. One first stanza is you got memorized.
Yeah, it's same once again.
Yes.
Yeah, Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mada Devagni Nirva
Davagni Mahadavagni Nirvapanam.
Mahadavani Nirvapanam.
So you can see once again, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Cheto means the heart. Darpanam. Darpanam is like this mirror. Its heart is compared with mirror.
Yeah.
Marjanam, like cleansing.
Yeah.
So what you have to cleanse is Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. This material.
Mahadavagni Nirvapanam.
Okay. This is perfect, Mataji. It's done. Second line.
It will take long time to make.
Shriya Kairava Chandrika. At least 2 line if it's memorized. It is good one.
Yeah, Shreya
Kairava,
Kairava
Chandrika,
Chandrika
Vitaranam,
Vitaranam
Vidya Vadu Jivanam.
Vidya Vadhu Jivanam.
So what is this Shreya? Shreya, I'll just good fortune. Shreya.
Yeah.
Kairava. Kairava means the lotus, the white lotus. So you have to imagine a white lotus and Kairava. Shreya. Shreya means good fortune. You can think like
Yeah.
a white lotus and a good
Yeah.
fortune. Shreya, Kairava, Chandrika. Chandrika means moonshine.
Moonshine.
So three things you have to think. One is good fortune, one is lotus, white lotus, and Chandrika.
Yeah.
Chandrika means moon. I think so. Two
Yeah.
things you can relate. Like
Yeah.
Kairava. Kairava is like a white lotus. You can compare with the moon. It's like moon. And
Okay.
good fortune.
Okay. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vairanam
Vitaranam.
Vitaram Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. So shall I repeat? Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaram Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. Arjun.
Krishna Mataji. This
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it is glorifying Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Like this chanting of this holy name.
Yeah.
So our heart is covered with all dust. So Cheto Darpana Marjana means cleansing that process. And here Shriya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. This white lotus, no Mataji,
Yeah.
so it blossoms when there is a moonshine, bright moonshine at night. So it is compared with Hare Krishna mantra is compared to this.
Oh, nice.
And it is Vidya Vadu Jivanam. Vidya
Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. Yeah.
Here you can see this. All education, Vadu, life, Jivanam, the life. This,
Yeah.
if you are perfected in this chanting process, all this educational, this whatever knowledge is required, transcendental knowledge, it will automatically manifest in our heart.
Okay. Yeah.
So this chanting is so
Very nice.
powerful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, just by concentrating, just hearing this mantra constantly, without any, your mind should not go anywhere, here and there. It should always be focused on this chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So what will happen? Vidya Vadu Jivanam, all the knowledge, transcendental knowledge, which is required, will manifest within the heart. So this is explained. So second line we can repeat again. Shriya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadu Jivanam.
Yeah. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Ranam Vidya Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam.
Anandambudivadanam.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah.
Two lines.
Oh, okay. Anandam Buddhi. Okay, 1 second,
You
Prabhuji.
can repeat.
Jai Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu ki.
Yeah.
Jai.
So welcome back, everyone. So, okay, I would maybe go through one or two in each group can share what you learned. We'll see based upon time. Shirisha Mataji, do you want to go first and share what you learned in the last few minutes? Shrisha Mataji, can you hear me? Mataji,
Sorry, I was on mute. Hare Krishna.
yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Yeah, can you share what you learned?
Sure. I will chant the sloka, Prabhu.
Okay, with seeing or without seeing?
I have the screen open, but I'm trying to recite it without seeing.
Okay.
Cheto darpana majanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam bhakara chandrika visaranam vidya vadu jivanam anandambudhi vardhanam pratipadam purnam swadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Okay. So did you see or without seeing, could you do it?
I could do. I saw one time.
Okay. 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 Anything else you want to share, the meaning?
So the meaning is with help of Sri Krishna Sankirtanam or chanting the holy name of the Lord. It will actually help us to cleanse our heart from the wild forest fire of material existence, and it will also help us to achieve the glory of or fortune of a lotus flower, like a waxing moon. And it will also help us to enjoy the full nectar for everyone, and there will be victory in everything by chanting the holy name of Lord Sri Krishna.
Okay. Mataji, so you can pay more attention to each line, and as we saw in the meaning, as how they are making, so Cheto Darpana Marjanam, just like a mirror, the heart is cleansed by chanting. Similarly, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, just like a forest fire, which is so difficult to extinguish. Similarly, material existence is very difficult to extinguish, but simply by chanting, one can extinguish. So like this, each section, you can just pay attention and understand, and maybe you can take this as a small task to learn today and tomorrow. Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone from group 3? I think Subbu Prabhu, Jitendra Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, maybe I think you had 2 verses to learn. Anyone of you want to share?
Sure, Prabhu. I'm doing the 3rd verse, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu.
Trinadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadaharihi. So, Trinadapi sunichena, one who considers himself lower than a blade of grass. Taroriva sahishnuna, one who has the tolerance. Sahishnuna is the tolerance, one who is tolerant like a tree. Amanina manadena, one who doesn't is not puffed up by his honor, but always willing to give respect to the others. That type of person, kirtaniya sadahari, it will be easier for that type of person to be able to chant the holy name of the Lord.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. Jagan Prabhu, you want to share something?
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would reflect on the same thing, same verse, Prabhu.
Okay.
Vinadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So one should think himself as lower than blade of grass and be humble and do not go into false prestige, and if that's the character, then it would be easy for chanting and reaching Krishna. Always remembering Krishna. If
Yes.
that is, yeah.
So it is important to remember that when we are learning verses, we learn exactly what the verse is saying, although remembering Krishna and all other things are appropriate. So basically this verse is saying Kirtaniya Sadhari. That means one can chant constantly when one possesses this quality of being humbler than a blade of grass, tolerant, more tolerant than a tree, and is offering respects to others without expecting any respect. So, but yes, good. Thank you so much. Jitendra Prabhu, I'll come back to you. I'll just go through others first.
Okay.
Group 1, Śrī Prabhu, Palni Mataji. Can you share what did you learn, both of you?
So, Prabhu, we had the same verse 1, Cheto Darpanam. It talks about the cleansing of heart. Here, there's a comparison analogy being given with the mirror. And then it talks about the forest fire. It's very difficult to contain or vanquish the forest fire. Similarly, this material existence is on the similar lines. And it talks about the Harinam Sankirtan. With the help of Shri Krishna Sankirtana, we can attain these two things.
Okay, thank you. Palni Mataji.
So I was able to memorize the shloka, Prabhu. I knew that a little bit, so I was able to memorize that. And then, like Shri Prabhu, like the translation.
Yes, Mother. Could you chant the verse without saying?
Yeah, yes, that I can do.
Yes.
Cheto darpanam arjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam shreya kairava chandrika vitaranam vidya vado jivanam Anandham buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadhanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Very nice. Yes, Mother. You are also explaining something about the verse?
About similar to what Shri Prabhu, and so I don't have much else to add.
Okay. So it is also good that Shri Prabhu explained the first line of the verse, but then there are the other 3 lines which are also describing various benefits of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra or participating in Shri Krishna Sankirtana. So if you find time, please do go through it. And Balram Prabhu and Kritika Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
You want to share what you learned?
Yes, I'll go through the verse. I remember the first 2 lines, and so it is Nama Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Saktis Tatra Pita Niyamitaha Smaranena Kalaha Itadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavana Mamapi Durdaivam Mitrisham Ihani Na Anuragaha. So this verse is telling us the first line, which is Nama Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. So it talks about that the Lord is expanded himself in the form of holy name. And so that's what it says, Nama Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis.
Nam Akari.
Okay.
Nam
Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. He's expanded himself in the form of holy name and invested all his personal energy into the holy name, Nija Sarva Shaktis. The second line, which is Tatra Pita Niyamitaha Smarane Na Kalaha. And during this manifestation, the Lord has manifested his personal energy in such a way that we can remember him anytime, and there is no restriction in remembering the Lord's name. There is no restriction, and we can remember him anytime, any place, pure, impure. We can remember it anytime. the third line, which is Itadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagwan Mamapi.
Bhagavan Mamapi. Bhagavan Mamapi.
Okay, Bhagavan Mamapi. The Lord is so merciful that He's given us, out of compassion, He's given us the holy name. But out of a misfortune, that is Durdaivam, Idrisham Ihani Na Anuragaha.
Iha Jani Na Anuragaha. Iha Jani.
Iha Jani Na Anuragaha. But it is a misfortune that we cannot accept this holy name sincerely and chant sincerely, and we commit offenses while chanting the holy name, and hence we do not develop attachment to the holy name, even if the Lord has been so merciful to us, but because of our misfortune we cannot accept the holy name.
Because of our misfortune, we are not developing the attachment, anuragaha, for chanting because of committing offense. Yes. So yes, Balaram Prabhu, would you like to share anything?
No, Prabhu, I think she covered everything.
Okay. Kiran Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, I got the first verse.
Yes.
So I remember like two lines of it.
Very nice.
So it's like
Cheto.
Yeah, Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Madha Devagni Nirvarpanam Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. That's all I memorized, the lines. And yeah, so chanting like Mahamantra is like cleansing of heart. And then Shreya Kairava Chandrika, it's like good fortune, and Kairava it's like white lotus flower, and moon and Chandrika is like moonshine. So that's how I remembered like each word.
Okay. So this means Bhava Maha Davagni Nirvapanam. So Keto Datna Marchanam Bhava Maha Davagni
Nirvapanam. Yeah.
So Agni means fire and Davagni means forest fire.
Forest fire, yes.
So it's a good engagement to use our mind to learn these verses and memorize them because they really help the mind, which is traveling here and there. If we engage every day in learning a few verses, it can strengthen our mind very much. Jitendra Prabhu, you are the last. You should quickly give us some insights into verse 4, and then we'll.
Yes, Prabhu, I'm feeling very, very lucky that I got this verse, because this is the like one of the best verse. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagdish kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhaktir ahetuki tvayi. O Lord of the universe, I do not desire material wealth, materialistic followers, a beautiful woman, or fruitive activities described in florid language. All I want, life after life, is unmotivated devotional service to you.
Good. So are you reciting without saying, with saying, combination of both of them?
One time I saw, but I can remember the verse.
Yes. So more you are able to put in your own words and explain, that will really help. And also to go line by line and see what is each word, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, how that each line is explaining a certain concept, a certain principle. If you go through them, it will really help us understand more deeply what the verse is meaning. So anyone else whom I missed? Ashwini Mataji, did you join earlier or?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. No Prabhuji, I just joined few minutes ago.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Okay. So, okay. Thank you so much. So in summary, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Supreme Lord himself, although he has appeared in the form of devotee, He's teaching us by his personal example how to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, who is none other than he himself. And his purpose is to establish Sankirtan Yajna and also to teach us devotional service to Supreme Lord. So I hope all of you will spend some time learning these verses, and before appearance Sri Gaura Purnima, I hope all of you will be able to recite and learn these verses. So thank you all for participating in various groups. We'll stop here, and before we stop, can I request all of you to come in front of your cameras? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki
Jai.
Shri Gaura Purnima Mahotsav ki
Jai.
Nitai Gaura Premrante. Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
बस ये रोटी खा लो उसका